This is like the most unhinged day of the year so far. We are early, but yo, let's spin it different. Instead of talking about Lidicore banging everyone's mums, how about this, guys? This actually might be the most balanced spawn I've seen of King of the Hill, at least from the terrain. The resources are outrageous. I want to stop it to just bring his Arkan out here because we've got a fun one. These two are hilarious to watch clashing. We've got Stopper versus Give You Anxiety. That's right. NA Pride could not accept that the Canadians were better. GUA is here to make a statement. Just like Ufasa, who is now bringing it back to people's mums while resubbing. Appreciate you, mate. Different kind of sub involving the mums, but appreciate it, mate. Welcome to Swarm. Yeah, so English versus HREs, pretty bad for English. Sorry, that doesn't really spin up the positivity about NA taking back their title as best in NA. But America might be a little bit screwed here. I do at least like the Abbey of King's Detail coming in from GUA. I don't think a Council Hall would do a lot here. But if Stopper just plays onto the tree line, this is ridiculous how effective HRE are. They really leverage this map well because of just how much wood they can buff for how long. So we'll have to see. Stopper's definitely been really entertaining. I mentioned that like what I've been really looking for is to see some players coming through and thriving in these new environments. And I think it would be fair to say Stopper fits that. I think Stopper has been starting to really show his capabilities. I don't think anyone would have like expected him to like take series from some of these players before because most of us didn't know of him. I don't think that's like an insult. I think that's just a reality check, right? But when you think about like some of the performances, I've been actually impressed, right? Like, you know, he's been getting to the like round 16. I think last KPMM, he went up against Puppy Paw. This time, if he wins in the round of 16, it will be up against Sassy. No, and this isn't an offense to Sassy. This is complimentary to Stopper. I could see a world in which he takes a game. Maybe a series if he gets the draft right. How did Stopper get in there? Because he wasn't ranked 200 before. He was ranked higher. So Stopper, he's actually ranked 134th and then 199th. And he was ranked as high as like 70th or something before. Dude, like, okay, literally the entire day is just going to be about Lidicore now. I mean, there's a chance GUA, like, there's a chance Lidicore knows GUA's mum. Like, Lidicore does live in America now, guys. God, this is such an old school English build, though. Super early farms. I mean, the sheep count is, like, terrible. Wow, 18 sheep for HRE. GUA got out-scouted. Big time. This is pretty grim, actually. I mean, having to go farms this early is now a necessity rather than a desire of your build. And that's just great for Stopper, because now you can just pull the sheep over. He really should be bringing those sheep back towards the Arkan. Wall off up here so you can't be raided. And then just love life as you get the 40% buff everywhere. That's kind of the crazy thing, is you can always just take the sheep this far out. It's risky, sure. But at the point in the game where the king's arriving, you should have those walls already up. Stopper actually going in for the spears. Usually kind of a taboo thing to do against English, but definitely necessary here. Right? Like, you're going to need that blocker. The cool thing is you can always transition to men-at-arms if your opponent starts adding in longbows. Farms as well from Stopper. I mean, he's just kind of loving life, right? He's like, oh, I don't have to care. All right, if you're going to go for farms, I can just mirror it, and my farms are going to be substantially better. Not 40%, admittedly. It's only going to be, what, 20%. Still an edge. Only 2 spears is a little bit greedy, though. I don't like that from Stopper. I feel like 4 would be a lot better. The king can then just actually risk getting braced and killed straight away. Alright, this is a rough start for GUA. If all you're really achieving is like 2 spearmen dancing around, it doesn't feel great. Stopper. Ooh. Gets him back just in time. He can cycle villages now. So yeah, there was 2 choices. Either Stopper could have built the walls to protect the Arkan area, or he just doesn't get the sheep gathering rate. I guess the positive of like not getting the sheep gathering rate is you can then have something for your injured villagers to do. It's not terrible, but like actually I'd counter there's a better way of playing this for Stopper that doesn't involve sacrificing the food gathering rate. Just pull the Arkan Chapel skull, like healer, right? Pull the prelate out, heal the king's damage, get back in. You can just cycle that. It's perfect. And if you see the buff turns off, immediately re-garrison, you lose like 0.5 seconds. GUA is, of course, going for fast castle. Stopper's trying to mirror. He's a little bit slower, but it's not really that much slower. The other time definitely added up a bit. And I imagine we're looking at a King's Palace here. Wait, no. Okay, he's not thinking White Tower, right? He is. Are we going Classico? Yo, we are going old school English King of the Hill. This has not been seen in 2 years in competitive, I want to say. That's crazy. And yeah, second prelate is being built by Stopper because he's going for relics. I mean, I don't know if this is really that worth anymore. We talked about these Barbican plays, Kremlin plays, just feeling a little bit underwhelming. Giving Anxiety is committing, though. This is a White Tower drop. His food gathering is off the mark, though. So his timing, this is pretty wasteful. I have to wait, wait, is this like 25 seconds delay? With 11 villagers. Regnitz is already on the way. Stopper did just scout this, so giving Anxiety, his intent is known. Men-at-Arms are getting queued up by Stopper. Wait, what is going on here? He gets the scout kill. White Tower now coming in, but there's no denying this timing was underwhelming, right? Like, he overgathered on the gold, didn't give her enough of the food. I don't think he manually dropped off with the deer either. It could have made it a little bit more clean. Loses his own scout as well, so both of them playing a blind game. But what worries me with this play for GOA, you're not bolstering your economy and you don't have long-term food, right? Like, you've got no sheep left over. You've got 4 farms. Meanwhile, Stopper is buffing economy already and more so. And oh my god, the time on this, the Men-at-Arms. He just marches in. I would have loved to have seen the Prelate pull to the center knowing what was happening here, but the MAA is going to start clapping. We better slow this down a little bit. Won't be able to get kills, but the Knights have already been queued up now. Here's the biggest problem. Not this guy. More these flanks. If you've built the White Tower here... Oh my god, and he's even walking back without wheelbarrow. I think GOA might be dead. Alright. This is like being the teacher at the chalkboard and asking people to, like, show they're working. Can you all figure out the problem of giving Anxiety's plan here? There's a pretty big gap in the strategy. It's this gap here and this gap here. There are Knights coming. GOA has no defense at all at home. He has a giant defense here. Look at that. Look at that amazing White Tower. But your opponent has some spears already. He's producing Knights as well. His economy is a lot safer. He's walled a little bit. He's playing tight. And Spearman will be able to protect that area very easily with marching drills. My worry is Stopper is just going to get way too many free economy kills. And GUA is going to struggle to find them. I'll have to see. He's looking like he's on an interception route for the Prelate, but he knows if he dives in and hits that down, he's going to be standing still too long. In fact, I don't think he even saw it in the end. No, he was just out of glimpsing range. He's at least guarding the south side relic, but it's already one home, second on the way. So while GUA has kind of played this smartly, like, this is a build that used to work really well, actually, against HRE Fast Castle. And I think it still does work well. The problem is GUA got baited by the Sacred Site. I think giving Anxiety this build would have been a lot better if he had simply just built it at home. On top of that, he's losing workers. He's 5 workers down so far. Warlord's at least going to be denied on the north side. I mean, even if it's just 2 relics, that's more than good enough. If giving Anxiety doesn't start finding economy kills soon, this is going to just trend against him. Knight is at least going to be able to shuffle around towards the villagers. The Spearmen are just so close behind him, though. We'll get a little bit of a freebie there. So, actually, GUA doing some chip damage. I'm a bit surprised Stopper isn't adding in more spears. I'm trying to figure out where his resources have gone. Looks like he had a gap in gathering as he was shuffling across. There's so much food out here, though. So after the Prelates are done returning relics, this is zone 1 to buff, right? There's just so much value there. I don't like that Stopper's been idle with some of his military. Like, this Knight has just been sitting here the whole time, right? Like, if you're just in the base, hitting your opponent, he doesn't survive this. Don't think white tower in the center is worth much if you don't have Monk. Exactly. Like, he just walked home, right? He didn't even play for the cap. But, like, even if he had, you have to justify hanging around that area. Relic coming home. Somehow he actually snatched that one up, so we're probably looking at a 4-1 split. I don't think Give You Anxiety is going to be able to hold north side for long. Knights are now shuffling across the Jiuei's base. I'm trying to think, like, how much does Give You Anxiety play at the moment? Let's check that. I'm actually curious. If we pull up the stats. His GOA is 431st in the world right now. He played 2 games 2 days ago, 2 games 4 days ago, 1 game 11 days ago, 1 game 12 days ago, 1 game 13 days ago. Like, I think it's always going to show a little bit because this is like a map that is in active rotation, right? Like, this is a tournament map. But this strategy is very old school English. And not playing those permutations, not being able to try the new things does really hurt you in this situation. Oh my. Okay, this isn't even about strategies anymore. He just lost 5 villages there. And in fact, he's lost more than that, right? He was at 5 before these dives started to come in. I don't know, man. GUA just hasn't really been looking on form, right? It's a bit rough to watch. Very talented lad, but what you got to keep in mind, I wonder, I hope you don't take it the wrong way, because I think it's actually like, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but I could see how it could be a problem. He's a nurse, for those who don't know. And he works very long shifts. So, and I believe he usually plays his series after his shifts. So, like, I'm wondering if there's a bit of fatigue at the end of the day to this, because that was a very unusual 5+ villager loss at the back to one night. Could be that he's over-focusing on microing here. And yes, GUA is a hot nurse. God damn it. He's going to be nursing quite the win from this one. Because Stopper is in a very dominant position. Up by 8 villages. GUA may have to consider just going to DC. Instead, he's going to play for the Sacred Site win condition. But that takes 8 minutes. Exactly. Lidicore definitely has some competition. You may want him to bang your mum, but the difference with GUA is he can care for people. So I can't remember if it's nurse or carer. Because those are technically different things. Oh, God, Knights are in again. GUA. This has fell over for a few minutes. Now it is definitely over. Because at this stage, Stopper can just pivot into Siege and take it down. Bang with Scare. Oof. I mean, he's getting slapped about pretty hard right now. This is not a friendly spanking, that's for sure. GUA now trailing by almost 20 villages. Just a really outdated strategy, I think. And even if you try to like justify it's not outdated, the way it was executed was very inefficient. No wheelbarrow, 11 villages out of the center, then they walk all the way home. You don't even leave a few behind to gather gold. Don't even go for a monastery straight away. It just didn't really make sense. Oh no, don't lose more villages here. Stopper's gonna see it. He's hitting the jackpot. Weirdly enough, actually, he doesn't react quick enough to get a kill or two. But Give You Anxiety is going to go for the Walk of Shame. And it's starting to look like Fast Imperial. Wait, dude, he's going to build a bark. He's building a bark ship. Are we getting the double defensive landmark? I believe so. Stopper's going to need quite a few traps. Hannah says, I'm plat free and I would have done that better. Wow. You know what? That's impressive. Guys, I think we have a show match. Stopper's in the chat right now, so I think Hannes wants to fight. Oh, sorry, you mean the White Tower. Okay. I thought you meant the raid. That would have been perfect. Stopper come back around. I mean, this is 100% a Berkshire. It has to be. Stopper just needs to pump 6 or 7 trebs. And yeah, that's a fair point. By the way, guys, like if you're a person going, I reckon I could beat this pussy. Look at this guy. I ain't got nothing on me. You can prove that. Sign-ups are available. KPMM 9, 10, 11, I believe, are all sign-upable already. Right? Like, it is open sign-up format. People, the top people based on rankings or whatever will be selected each week. If I start seeing enough names that want to play, we might even eventually like look to expand the format to round of 64. Won't for now, but down the line possible, right? So, you know, you're an aspiring player, go for it. This is brutal. Is it me, or does this feel like the slowest wait to get resources for Imperial Age we've seen? He was so close 2 minutes ago? His food income is practically non-existent. And now you have to build a Berkshire when there's trebuchets here. Oh boy. Ah, got it. You would, but work and stuff. That's true. It's like when I get, you know, I would just like annihilate Beastie, Marine Lord, and everyone else, but like I don't want to take money from them, you know? It's rude. Berkshire's coming up. Stopper doesn't know about the Berkshire. There is already triple treb though. And you've got 4 minutes you need to hold with a grand army of 9 military units. Then again, guys, check this. Mass melee, he has got a Wallo. And he will definitely convert the whole air around him. You are not king of this hill. Dive coming in. Berkshire is at least about to complete, but this many troops can just stand here for the decap. No, whoa, whoa. No. Hell. Stopper's like, woohoo! 5 relic game, baby. Alright. I mean, GUA, he's just trying to have fun with the depressing reality of this game now. Is getting this weird sense running through his body. He's like, this isn't 2022. What is this map? This isn't how this is played. What do you mean I need a time machine to win this one? Sorry, sir. We don't sell time machines here. We're a small, humble indie tournament organizer. If you thought game number 1 was weird, hold on to your seatbelt. Because we're about to be on bumpy terrain. If there is any player that is going to make you scratch your head in confusion, like a Pikachu confused raid by a Zubat that can't help but punch itself in the face, GUA is the one to Zubat you. Out of all the people that could pick Abbasids, if there was ever one that is going to do some weird, wild, all-in Ram Rush type build, this is your guy. Even against the Mongols. Gorge is going to be the map. A good map to try and pressure early on, especially with spawn like this berries plus the gold. But considering GUA's line to be a very aggressive party, I think maybe Stopper just plays a little bit safer. Instead, though, we already have the racks coming. Yeah, a little bit surprised by this. GUA's done the correct thing in this matchup. Like, this is one of the very few matchups where you don't want to start berries necessarily. You can do it for the mill and the eventual gathering, but the reason he didn't do it is because it's a forward gold and forward berry, right? It's kind of weird playing Mongols sometimes, right? Like, even when you know it's probably not the most valuable play, you're still going to do it. So we are going to get the racks, we're going to get the spearmen. The reason it's not the most valuable is, like, even if you have the stone, passive production, you're still going to spend 160 raw resources on spearmen, 150 on the racks, and then 100 on the tower. That's 430 wood. Or 430 resources, rather. GUA can counter that just by picking military wing and building a ram for 200. You could argue that if you don't do this, your opponent doesn't do the military wing. But then you remember that you're playing GUA. A man so unhinged, he will always go military wing. Tower rush plus trade. Okay, one's in chat if you think that Silver Tree is overrated. I need to test this. This is very important. Twos if you really think Silver Tree is the way. Because we watched a lot of Mongols recently. And I'm shuffling my tile like a smug git, being like, we were right. So we said it for a while. Silver Tree just doesn't feel right on the majority of maps anymore. You can still trade, even if you go Silver Tree. The difference is that Deerstone earns the trade. Silver Tree does not. Outpost coming in. I mean, it's the perfect outpost. Why would you not do this, right? What could possibly go wrong from this play? It's not like my opponent is building military wing and is just going to ram this down. It's always frustrating to deal with. And wait, what? Okay, so hold on a sec. Ram costs you 200 wood. Outpost costs you 100. He goes in for the pincher. Doesn't get it though. I mean, he can still build this quicker. Stopper's going to have to cancel. There's no way. There is no way you complete this. What? I would not have expected him, while going military wing, to build an outpost like this. This is such a GUA maneuver. Garrison comes in. The villager hasn't moved away. Stopper, he's just going to get sniped. Oh, that's too late. Why are you dying with your legs spread like that? What the hell? Oof. I'll rip into the ecosystem. So villager goes down. Outpost needs to be cancelled. GUA kind of played him like a fiddle, man. That's actually kind of wild. He doesn't even cancel the outpost. I mean, there's idle time here, sure, but you're going to lose resources as well. I don't know what Stopper was expecting. I think he got outplayed, 100%. Like, GUA, I don't know if this was 100% intentional. You never know if your opponent is definitely going to outpost rush you, but it feels like this was intentional. Especially the cockiness of, like, yeah, I'm just going to drop the mill. The confidence of it is like really straight away knows that he's ahead. And archer range now coming to try and extend that lead. Big advantage here. Remember, Stopper doesn't have H2. He can't build archers. Also, double spear is going to prevent you from just immediately going Keshik. He hasn't got the stone either. It'd be so fun when Lidical casts his next EGC tournament. We're going to turn up with the Lidda dad jokes he doesn't even know. There we go. Yeah, we're bringing that personal content creator angle to the tournaments. If you hadn't highlighted the cross, the spearman would have absorbed the damage. You mean if he hadn't targeted your villager? But he's always going to target your villager, right? Like, he would have to ignore your villager for like what, 15 seconds, which is very unlikely. Stopper, I think you believed what we said about GUA running a long shift too much. He may be tired, but he ain't falling for that. So counter pressure coming in now. Spear reaction is at least going to be there, but these are Dark Age spears on both sides. The archer is the most important thing. Good focus fire there from Stopper. Maximize the mobility to make sure he got that kill. It's going to slow GUA down, but not for long. We know this man likes to send it like there's no tomorrow. More archers on the way. So, Stopper, what I'd say, like, feedback-wise on what you've done here, and don't even take this, you don't even have to take it my advice, like, you know, because I can actually reference it to the great wise sage, Mr. himself. Mr. really, he broke this down phenomenally well in an Abbasid Mongol matchup, actually, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where he pointed out that as a Mongol player, you think that you want the best outpost placement possible, but you don't. You want an outpost placement that makes their life hard, but not impossible. Because if you make their life impossible, they're going to react overly aggressively, like pulling 20 villages, right? I think the play here would have just been the outpost back here. Because it'll eventually, with arrow slits, still cover everything, right? Like, this is a bit ambitiously deep and ambiguously deep. It doesn't need to be this deep. Because then your opponent has to rush an outpost here, which puts them out of TC range and in range of the spears, right? It completely changes the state of the things. There's still a risk your opponent's going to pull the villages because you're blocking gold and food. But you have a much better chance of getting it up. Didn't play much for the Mongols. Yeah, Mongols is like a very elegantly complex civ in a weird way. Because at the highest level, there's a degree of mind games and fluidity to the strategy, if that makes sense, right? Like, you think you just want the OP outpost rush, like it's 2021. But in reality, what you want is something that strips your opponent's advantages to make up for the Mongol shortcomings. Villagers aren't running, they aren't working? No, Kamin. You misquoted my Greek brother. It is, if you're working, you're not walking. If you're walking, you're not working. Say that 10 times. What a legend. I miss that guy. He's too busy being good at mythology. We need him back in OE4. So Keshik's are globbing up. This is nice for Stopper. It's going to give him map control. He just needs to be able to do something with the map control now. It's kind of tough, right? Like, if this had been Eco Wing, Stopper could have just went infantry, mass archers, and destroyed his opponent. But, like, when you talk about Abba Millie Wing, you can't really just go mass archer blob. You'll lose. Another awkward thing about this game, the Golden Age, it's a 15% buff already. Jiri is just getting so much more value out of his backlines. Like, I do sometimes wonder if in this situation you should just be going for improved lumberjacks, right? Because that will give you an extra 7.5%. I kind of feel like this tech is slept on a lot. Like, it's only 7.5%, but really is only, like, that's pretty good. Yes, it costs 150 stone, but you're essentially offsetting your opponent's Golden Age for a resource at least. I guess the tricky part about doing it against the Abbasids is you need to do it for food and wood, right? It's 300 stone. AKA 1.5 Keshiks for free. Chase is on there, and this is looking ugly. Stopper. Keshiks are great in mass when you're able to commit, but there's just too many spears here. He's kind of scared. Turns around for the trade now, but the reformation. Too many archers lost. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, if you're a French player now, you commit to that fight, you don't care. You get some damage done, you get out. Keshiks just always feels so fragile by comparison, though. Just go trade since it's aggressing. It's a hard map to trade on. Like, everything is front spawn, right? Like, you're not able to hide the play. He also just doesn't have enough units yet. You're seeing the blob that's coming from GUA. If you're against a different player that was going 2TC, I'd agree you trade. You can't trade against someone like GUA because he's just going to blob. Like, when was the last time you saw Give You Anxiety build a second TC? Not on Abba. Oh, no. This guy loves his all-in strat too much. I bet Give You Anxiety was one of those people that played team games at release with free Abbasid players. You know the ones I'm talking about. Where they just Dark Age Spearman ram rush on your teammates. I bet he was that day. Because this is feeling pretty dirty. Stopper. I'm just trying to get some archers together to defend this. We're going to try to use the fast forward a little bit here. Gio doesn't have an immediate win condition, but he's in a very dominant position. He also does have the Steel Dagger coming, which is huge. Yeah, especially when you try and dive. That was such bad timing for Stopper. The moment he came into the base, the upgrade came in. Although, gee, wait, what was that? I'm surprised he got away with so little casualties. That was insanely greedy. Spears are here now, so it will be a full retreat. I think GOA is maybe overreacting. The reinforcing spears are enough to shut this down. You want to keep pressure going. I mean, you could argue it doesn't really matter because he's that far ahead. He is and he isn't, right? Like, your opponent still has neck-and-neck economy. He's not dead. So if you just kind of slip up, don't keep the pressure going, and he gets the transition correct, you will lose. It's bloody hard to lose, though. 26 archers and 19 spears. He can block the production. If he just camps here, there's no new units for Stopper. And the archers, there's enough of them to insta-snipe any new spawns. Moving around now, go straight after the Uvu. What you want to do as GUA is just run here. Sit right here. Forces the pack up. I mean, it's the smart choice by Stopper, right? He's not going to get anything out of this otherwise. But in a way, he's still not getting anything right. He missed out on the free production. On top of that, these aren't working while they're moving. They're like that villager analogy, or metaphor, or whatever we call it. They're walking, they ain't working. Spear Archer and Eco, a Mongols player's nightmare. Just build Magadai. I mean, I kind of would be okay with him just building 5 Magadai in this grim position to just try and sneak Eco kills. It's so hard to directly fight your opponent. Like, when you fall this far behind, you can't look for a direct engagement. And he's been trying to find that indirect engagement with Keshiks. Keshiks that can admittably have value in a main fight eventually. I'd argue it's easy to do damage with 5 Magadai and then just blob archers. Magadai is such a risk in 1v1s. It is, but here's the thing. If you're losing a game and you refuse to take risks, do you know what happens? At least at the high level, you lose the game more. Right? It's all about escalating advantages. It's the extrapolation of an edge. So with Stopper just pretty much doing the organic thing, all he's doing is delaying death. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take? Exactly, like that guy earlier who said he wanted Lidakor to be his dad. He was taking his shot. Don't know if it's going to work. And now I bring it back to him. Anyway, this game is fairly over. Stopper's pretty much just playing on the logic that the Keshiks might be able to scrape him back in. But I think we're at the dive point. Actually, no. I forgot who we're dealing with. It's give you more rams. We're at the ram point. Build 4 rams and go in. You have a big enough military lead that you don't have to worry about your opponent catching up on raw mass from spending 800 resources that way. Nice denial as well. What? Okay, that was perfect timing. The Blacksmiths is going to go down at 15 seconds until Steeled Arrow is complete. Wait. What? Oh my god, Stopper has to commit. Because the Keshiks, right, if they don't go in, the Blacksmith goes down. So, credit to him, that was really crafty. He does get the level 1 range tech. However, GUA is getting a little summon himself. It may not be give you more rams, but he's going to be giving you Castle Age. And that should give Stopper even more anxiety. Ugh. So in hindsight, looking back at this game for Stopper, we talked about the outpost play. That can still be justifiable. It was just too aggressive. And because it was too aggressive, your opponent never had to commit to a ram, which meant that he had the wood to go directly into an archer range, right? That difference in timing is huge. Because at that stage, your opponent is a mile ahead because you're still teching up. You can't even mirror the units, right? So that was step 1, which was a mistake. Step 2 was just not going for attacks. I think Stopper needed to be poking the flanks to force GUA to always defend, either with Magadai or the Keshiks. But instead, GUA just kind of got to exist in his base. There was that one dive, but it was so direct that I'm surprised it got the 1 kill it did. In fairness, like the Keshiks should have never got anything there. It was just kind of more on GUA being greedy and Stopper exploiting that. You hate this map as a Mongol player? It's funny because I see some people that love this map as a Mongol player, right? Because, you know, as long as your opponent doesn't get good RNG and the gold spawns back here, you always have a gold you can outpost rush, right? Always struggling to move to outside food. Do you feel like that is more on you needing to practice Mongols, though? Does that make sense? Like, because that's something a Mongol player should be quite confident to do, right? You're hoping for France this map? What, from GUA? Yeah, I could see why that would make more sense for you. But that's the thing. Give you anxiety. Like, the thing that makes him very polarizing as a player to play against is the way he uses Abbasids. We cast a game between him and Voldemar, and it was some of the oddest stuff between Abbasid and French, right? He's a very unorthodox in his Abbasid approach. Yeah, my advice, like, Gorge is really just a map of understanding the flow of when you can move out and how you can move out. The tricky part as Mongols is if you can't keep aggro up, then you suffer more than other civs. Because most civs, when they want to move out for the deer here and the berries and whatever, they just wall. You can't wall, right? What you can do is build an outpost. Very important. Outpost, Deerstone, Bob's your uncle. Is that Abba French game uploaded on YouTube? I can't remember if it got uploaded in the end. There was a big backlog, so maybe it did, maybe it didn't. It's tricky as well, because I really need to get someone involved in the YouTube side. As there was someone coming in to help, but they have disappeared. Unorthodox, aka bad? No, I don't think it's always bad. You could argue at the highest level that be seen as bad because it's not the meta. Unorthodox can mean many things. Like, unorthodox can actually be very good because if you're not playing the meta, you're playing something that is less understood, right? Love there's a VODs channel. Well, there's the live streams. They do at least get uploaded. All the live streams are on YouTube, by the way. There is a playlist with all of them. So they are always there. That's why I always say watch live on Twitch. I mean, hell, have both of them open if you want. And then VODs, I always say watch on YouTube because for some weird reason, Twitch doesn't pay on the ads they play on people's VODs, which is dumb. Oh man, this looks bad. Stopper, he has got the Kurotai, but the Mango's a bigger problem here. I mean, in fairness, his position isn't atrocious with veterancy and Kurotai buff, but he needs this Mango gone. And GUA almost grieves himself there. Just turn around for the shot. Could be a big one. Wait, it didn't shoot. Oh no. No Composabos either. GUA, is he throwing this game away? New Mango comes out, completely misses the first shot. Catcher count is low though, and I think Stopper, despite what looks like it should be a good fight, the raw maths of it doesn't lie. I actually think GUA, this wasn't clean. Stopper, if anything, had an entry point that shouldn't have existed. But numbers really are going to dictate this. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. GUA really skimped on a critical detail. Composite bows is massive in this matchup. It offsets the Kurotai value. Stopper got a much better fight than he should have. Almost had a breakthrough there that give you anxiety, proving that Abbasid is all about numbers, whether it's building loads of villages or building loads of military. So, you know what that means, folks. Game 3 is happening. Dude, we've got a tight round of 32. A little bit one-sided in the flow of this game. I felt like it was always trending GUA, but I mean, Stopper right at the end made it a little bit nail-bitey. But the American GOAT cannot be denied. Stopper is going to have to admit defeat. We are going to a game number 3. By the way, Nerves, if you are watching this, please add a spoiler-free element to AoE 4. It'd be nice not to know the outcome of games when you want to watch them. I don't know why that isn't a thing with AoE 4 yet. But let's see what the outcome's going to be here, because Stopper has got a killer pick. Byzantines really just as solid against practically everything GUA has. He had French or Jeanne D'Arc. He chooses French. I mean, there are ways that French can play this matchup to a win, but it does require the Byzantines to be a bit lazy, I think. If they play the pressure, it's going to be a big problem. Put tape on your monitor. Oh, yes, the golden solution to spoilers. I mean, it's kind of, like, is it not a little bit weird that after this many years of AoE4 being out, we still don't have, like, a spoiler-free element? I don't know, maybe I'm just expecting or asking too much, but to me, like that doesn't seem like it should be that big of an issue, that difficult of a thing. It's such a nice and simple change as well. But let's have a look and see how this one's going to play out. We're going to be on the 2 times to the early game. GUA, how do you want to approach this? It's probably just going to be French Knights, and more French Knights. Which worries me, because if Stopper just builds a few Limitane and plays for Castle, Cataphracts can raid very well. I mean, you could even just do pressure play Limitane Javelins. That's really good, because the transition point is harsh for French. The reason is that you get camels on Castle, right? At which point, the camel on ease just really screws over the French in this matchup. Crazy how far behind this game is compared to SE2 when it comes to replays. Okay, I'm going to do one better. Crazy how far behind this game is compared to Dota when it comes to replays. Maybe I'm biased on that, but I always felt like in terms of all the replay elements that you have to use in-game, Dota 2 definitely set the highest standard for me. Valve were very good at regularly snatching things the community created and putting them into the base game. So Tech Up's coming out. I think we are going to be seeing Javs here. Limitane has to be built first. Like, the Rax is mandatory. It's not optional. Where's his extra berries as well? They are north side. He's got kind of a cool wall point here that's fairly efficient if he wants to go for it. No fishing, by the way. I feel like GUA could have actually done that and it would have been okay. It would have given him the extra economy he needs to actually contest the Byzantines. Perhaps one of the world's most popular games has more developer investment. Okay, but so here's the thing I always say is like a counterpoint to that. You do know that, like, if you do the maths on it, Valve could just make more money by not developing things for, like that for like Dota and CSGO, right? You know that. Because of how much money they make just running Steam. So, like, there is an element to be highlighted of what kind of money could you make through your efforts elsewhere. Does that make sense? Right? It's the same logic that all game devs go through. Like, is it worth more for us to now make a sequel or make a DLC? Oh, we don't have many players left, so it's actually better to make a sequel. And there is 8 fish. So 4 per player, Kiljadi. This is Himeyama 3.0 on crack cocaine. It's very strong. Limitane doing a decent job of shutting this down. GUA yet to get a villager kill and once again gets denied, but also gets baited in range of the TC. Limitane not quite able to get that final spear stab in. Stopper was starting to send the villagers out, needs to be careful about that. I mean, GUA is getting villagers close to death, but the price is way too high here. This is awkward because now these guys are just dead weight until you get Chivalry, which is going to be about another 3 minutes at least. Meanwhile, Stopper already has the first javelins on the way, guaranteeing that anytime a knight gets that low, they're going to die. Counterpoint, Valve makes more money by incrementally investing in an established game than by taking a swing at a brand new game. Yes, because Valve, as we know, have definitely not decided to punt and build brand new games semi-frequently. They've never done that. Like, you know, that they wouldn't make a card game or like an auto chess game. That'd be silly. They definitely wouldn't make another FPS. Oh, sorry, third-person shit. I mean, that would be silly. Wait a second. So, little thing about Valve, and it's bad from a business perspective, but I actually respect it because it's what development in a lot of ways should be. Valve kind of just do what they want. You guys, like, anyone who's been in the Valve ecosystem will know this. They do things because they want to. And as unprofessional as that may sound, I actually think more developers should be like that. Some of the best games ever made have been literally that. Like, we were talking about Minecraft earlier. Why was Minecraft made? Because Notch decided there was a game that he wanted to play that didn't exist. That was literally it. It was never, like, the psychology of the gamer, right? It was just, oh, yeah, this is the game that I want. So it looks like GA is not getting the fight that he wants. He's starting to lose a few of these knights. He did get one worker kill, and you have to remember that French are building a village elite over time. So, like, this isn't, oh my god, Byzantine's OP, they're just going to win. They have to work for it. Stropper's coming in for some interesting walls. I like this. I thought he was going to do more short walls a bit earlier. Instead, it's going to now be the outpost. Because he wants to send the army. I actually like this approach from Stopper. He doesn't want to just hang at home and get hit in the face 100 times. He wants to do some punching. Valve can do what they want because they have a monopoly position and they're not a public company. Yeah, but there's loads of indie devs that just do what they think will be a good game. Like, you can be informed as to how to make a good game. But the problem with... So here's the problem with AAA development. I'm going to really just smash it, slam dunk it. And I think AoE4 had this exact same problem. Devs, big publishers, are way too focused on betting the house to win big. And by doing so, they A, often come up short. B, don't take risk. They're technically taking a risk, like, you know, building another Battle Royale in a flood of Battle Royales, for example. But they think it's a calculated risk because there is statistics to support that this type of game works. That's why they do it. The reality check is that They could actually make a lot more money instead of spending 100 million on one game, spending 10 million on 10 games each. But there's this whole idea of like, if you don't pitch a number high enough, they won't care, right? It's like when you go to Shark Tank, you're like, I can make you 10% returns a year. They're like, I want 50%. Right? My money can make more than this, right? It's like, if someone offers you the rate you'd make having your money in the bank, why would you not just have your money in the bank, right? And this exists in all kinds of avenues. I had a friend who went to the Middle East to pitch for esports money for Web3. And he had a pitch deck, he had a solid plan, he had all these details. And his friend who's an expert on it said, 8x your number. He's like, what? He's like, the number is too small for them to care. Because when someone has a lot of money, you'd be like, oh yeah, but like, do they not, like, it's still, they're still gonna make money, right? Yeah, they are, but the issue is there's a lot more micromanagement in their mind. There's a lot more variables they have to keep an eye on. They'd rather just have one big thing that they're betting the house on that they can put all their attention on. And they think that'll lead to more success. Now the reality is, it doesn't. Like hell, I'm just gonna say it. It is kind of a miracle that Ubisoft is still independent. By the way, big shout out to Rainbow Six Siege because Rainbow Six Siege is carrying that studio. So, focus on the game though. We do have a nice burn through come from Stopper. I actually like this. GUA went full Knights. 14 Limitane shouldn't really be able to win this fight, but it's got GUA hesitating about even taking it. Goes in for the trade now. Limitane are going to stab through this. The archers, there's none here. He's got 2 archers in total, which means you can drop the shields and stab him in the face. Big problem. That is a mop-up. Look at the night loss. Unbelievable. GUA hoisted on his own petard of Love and Knights a bit too much. And that's crazy. Like, Stopper, man, he outplayed him there. The reason he outplayed is, if you think about it, if there had been 14 javelins there, it's worth a commitment from GUA so you can kill that many javs. There wasn't that many. It was barely worth it from that perspective, so you're basically headbutting a counter unit the entire time. Stopper now with 25 spearmen. Does not care. Put some respect on Assassin's Creed. I don't know. Assassin's Creed maybe does okay. But if you're telling me that Rainbow Six Siege is not their best performing game by far, I don't believe you. How many years is it? It's 8 years now of support. That's pretty freaking impressive. And their esports scene is incredible, by the way. And yes, I need to check Mana Lords. I don't know. I kind of want to try and find a point where we can try new games. I might look to try Mana Lords at some point on stream. Stopper might want to try building another unit at some point, but we're not there yet. He hasn't seen enough archers to justify it. House is getting torched. GUA needs to build a lot more. This is barely quick enough. Your people can live on the street. Okay, you'd think at some point Stopper would just go age 3. No. More spears than I will find in... What was the... Oh, damn, I forgot the dialect. More spears than I'd find in a Gaelic early game army in Rome Total War 2. Gauls, that's the word I was looking for. Do you guys ever think that like AoE 4 is progressing the right way? Because it's basically just Winston? Nah, there's more people. Shout out to my boy Winston though. Spears. Stabbing in, man. I mean, this is meant to be the counter unit. It just takes so long to kill one. He doesn't have Skilled Arrow. Oh, no. How can you be 14 minutes into the game without Skilled Arrow? This is hurt. Stopper's just getting away with outrageous things because of this. We've got jabs coming again, only small quantities, but we've also got archers added in. I mean, the crazy part is, like, playing along with feudal should be suicide for Byzantines in this matchup. Because French are just going to blob more, right? They get more villages over time. It just doesn't care. And by the way, to bring it back to the whole betting the whole house, AoE4 is the perfect example of, like, betting the whole house because they put insane budget into developing the game for years, and then they put incredibly high budget into marketing the game. And it didn't work, right? This comes from someone who spent more hours on AoE4 than almost anyone in the community. And yes, I know there are other people who spent more, but I'm saying, like, as a percentage, top percentage, right? The release was not good. The release was sloppy. But the whole idea is bet big, win big. That's genuinely the industry we live in. How many in-game hours do I have? I'm technically in-game right now by watching. Good old 2.5k hours on AoE4. Don't mind me. Jesus, 2.5k hours. I need to touch some grass. Maybe if I just get close, can I just maybe touch this here? Does it? No, it doesn't work. I tried. GUA. Now chasing north side. These villagers are not getting home, right? Like, I don't think there's actually a route for them to get out. Just stop and no? I mean, he's in the mill, so he suspects, right? Hunter's on. Admittedly, would benefit from having a scout. Ironically enough, actually, the villagers... Are they going to get away with this? No. Stopper's playing this perfectly. Look at this. He's got a small group just waiting here with open arms to receive the villagers. Well, he does see him now, but he needs to get the rest of the army here. The archery reaction was quick out of GUA. Microing away, just snipe 1 or 2. Stopper, I believe we do now have a dot play coming. This is very slow. Kind of intriguing at this point after he's drained the safe resources at home, right? Needs more food to keep blobbing Limitane. You can even take risks going out the flanks when Knights are going to find you, or you can go for fish. With the investment in some best-selling DLC. So the problem with, like, the best-selling DLC element is there are variables we don't know, like what was the cost to develop it? And I guess the other big problem is, like, what was the time effort? There are many elements that, like, aren't clear, because I do hope, by the way, that this next DLC we've got coming gets the justifiable marketing around it. Like, if we were the best-selling DLC in the history of the Age-Old franchise, and Swords of Ascend was fantastic, as long as the next DLC is at least on par, if not bigger, it deserves a proper marketing budget again. I'm not saying deserve to be entitled about it, it's just mathematically you think it would make sense there. But once again, like, if you're talking about a company like Microsoft, right? They have so much money, they have so many potential projects. What is more value to market? A game that already exists for 4 years, or a brand spanking new game that's now releasing? That's the tricky, sticky part. And I think that's the easily forgotten part as well, right? The reality is, launches are the biggest hype window that games will get. Like, I still haven't played No Man's Sky to this day. They recovered the game, though. Most people are happy with what the game is now. But did it get, like, this big hype around its recovery, or was it just a gradual thing over time, built its audience and whatever? Right? Like, I don't think No Man's Sky ever got a second marketing maneuver, from my understanding. I never saw it marketed again. But it does phenomenally well for itself. Like, Rust does phenomenally well for itself to this day, but outside of, like, a Twitch Rivals tournament, like, what's the marketing endeavor around Rust? It's kind of weird when you think about it that way, right? Check this. Kind of a weird moment. GUA actually on the offensive after being forced to turtle for a long time. And this march-in could be big. Knight shuffling in, Stopper. Seek shelter. Spimmin are on the way across. Meanwhile, it's now going to be pressure on the west side. But he needs to be faster than this. He doesn't know about the landmark. He doesn't know that Stopper's about to get a big edge with age 3. Remember, with the system level being up to 4, the tech speed unlock is going to be absurd. This is where you really have to fear for him. If the Dialectus switch comes in, it's only going to take about 24 seconds to get veterancy. And he walks away. No. The one move you can't afford right now. A back away. Knights are going to keep roaming, but that means the Limitane can now easily guard. And that's a fair point from Drunken Smuggler. It's the best selling with no marketing. They'll think they don't need to market it. That's actually a real thing. So I don't know how many of you guys have like worked in an environment where you get you're privy to info around budgeting, for example. But usually, the way, and this is where actually like the bureaucracy or whatever you want to call it of like modern businesses is really dumb at scale. If you don't spend budget, it gets taken away from you, right? If you outperform, but you don't spend some of your budget, it's like, oh, you don't need that much money, so we'll just reallocate it. Which is freaking wild, by the way, because what that does is that incentivizes people just poorly spend budget, right, to get it next year. Because you never want less budget. That's a losing play. That's kind of dumb when you say it like that, right? But that's genuinely the world we live in. It still baffles me to this day, really. And it's dumb because you think the play would then be to just keep a reserve pool of resources that you can push into other things, but that's not how it's seen. It comes back to the investment logic of like, if you got the resources, you want to use them, you don't want them to just sit there. Like we see in an RTS, where instead of sitting on 3,000 resources, unless you have a very good reason, like the market's about to erupt in a different way, i.e. your opponent's about to change units, instead you want to spend. That's exactly what Stopper's doing. Putting it all into a brute force attack. 65 Limitane on the way. He has got Undermesh too as well, and this is huge, right? The damage reduction of the archers is going to be painful. Remember, it's percentile based, and then it is integer based. So you reduce the damage take by 25%, and then you take an extra 2 off. That's what makes Limitane's Shield Ball feel so dirty. Oh, Killjadi, I'm aware of the whole teams are not helping each other save their own budget. I have heard stories from people working with brands where the teams of the different components, like because they have multiple arms, are literally trying to screw over the other teams to get their budget. It's wild. The politics of like budgeting within companies will blow your mind. And it's so sad, man. But like, there's so many ripples to this. Like, I've tried to work with brands who they've had like UK office, right? And the person's gone, oh, your UK demographic is really low. I'm like, but is that a problem though? Because you guys are a global brand. And then they just stop responding. And I'm like, huh? But you guys are a global brand. Now, I'm not going to say who it was. I don't want to like shame point a finger. That's not the goal here. But it's just wild because they have milestones, they have goals to achieve. It's like imagine, imagine if you're playing a team game and you lose your base, but your team wins the game. It's kind of like that. It's like that. Oh well, I didn't win. Well, no, we won together, buddy. But I feel like a lot of big businesses treat that environment like old school team games in AoE4, where it's like I can't lose my base or I'm dead. Why? I like how we've somehow metaized this conversation to still kind of make sense within a game of AoE4. A deciding game, by the way, funnily enough, in the round of 32. Bloody good series, though. Stoppage is a very unorthodox approach to dealing with the French, I feel like. It's been a while since I've seen this many Limitane at this stage in the game. Mango's Wallops coming in. Now, this was a Guildhall play, so there's a move for GOA down the line to go into Imperial. He does have to survive an onslaught first, though. Usually, in this type of position, the play that makes sense for a Byzantine player is 2TC, right? Like, this is where you go 2TC, so that you, over time, gain an advantage instead of falling behind. Instead, he just blobs it all into army. Push comes in, and that Mango looks so pathetic. Oh my god, Mangoes just ain't what they used to be. Stopper is just running him through. The Knights can't hold the front line. Kind of beats the point in building them. They're going to try for the backstab now, but there's just too many spears. The Pokey Boys really did come out to play. I'm struggling to see the way now for GUA. We have got a Horseman switch coming in, but that doesn't feel desirable against this many Limitane. Shield Wall's quite a thing. A thing of beauty. No, it's ridiculously obnoxious. What's Jue's other option? Survive, drop a Red Palace and pray. Because if you don't have a Red Palace, this many Limitane are just going to burn all your landmarks. In fact, this is what Stopper should be realizing. If he just goes in and gets torches out, the game is over. Because either GUA lets his base die, or he has to come and fight you. Moves in, but funnily enough, actually doesn't go for the landmarks at all. There's a backstab attempt coming in. There's a problem though, guys, and that problem is the camel.
Today we're going to learn about the letter C.
It's for camel, in case that wasn't obvious. You can't attack this now with the knights. You need to have enough archers to snipe the camels, or this is a no-go. Stopper. Well, they are low. Mango's been thrown away, though, and the knights are nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be found, nowhere to be heard. They are too late to the engagement. Dive comes in even deeper from Stopper. Backstab's now going to be there, but the Limitane are on their way, and the archers' javelins can trade out with what remains here. A desolate and destroyed GUA, that is. I think this is the culmination of the 26-minute game. Military barely existing anymore, and Stopper still maintaining 100 at any given time. Good micro as well. I mean, Stopper could be a bit cleaner with the jabs. It just doesn't matter. He's got enough to trade out the remainder. That's all knights dead again. Oh, God. I can smell the dead horse from here. Smell the death of American AoE esports. Pour one out. F's in the chat for GUA. He will not make it out of the round of 32.